All right, we are live. Good morning, traders. B. James here, your day trading dad. These markets, you guys, I've not seen anything like this before. I've been trading futures for 2+ years, two and change. And I've been trading full time for maybe 2.5 or 3 years. I don't know, forget at this point. And I've not seen anything like these markets. This is just wild. I don't even know where to start. I'll tell you what happened yesterday in a minute. We got to do some analysis because we got 4 minutes until open. And despite how the markets have been, actually we might have a setup here at 9:30 this morning is what it's looking like. So let's take a quick look at these charts. The thing I'm looking at here is we're pulling back into this 1 hour fair value gap. That potentially could be a good place for a long right at open. The only concern is we have, and I'll show you on the 4 hour here, it doesn't really look like much of a retracement here on the 4 hour. We'd be buying below the 4 a.m. 6 hour open, which is good. But just look how overextended this 4 hour is. It's not even like in this price leg here, we're getting a retracement back into the equilibrium for long. And then looking at the daily, we can see that the daily candle has no tail. There's a volume imbalance forming, and then there's this red gap because it's, I paint gaps red when they could potentially fill in. This daily candle here, it could come down this morning, form the lower tail and then continue on. So I'm keeping that in mind here. And I guess what I have to decide real time here is, do I believe that this is an 8+ 1 hour long, given what I'm seeing here on the daily? And I say that because, as you saw on my 1 minute chart, I need to see A+ price action and an A+ setup to take a trade today because of the current market conditions. Let's look here at the 15 minute. I'm a little behind today. I slept in slightly, so I haven't done tons of analysis on the charts. When I do that, it's more important for me to pray, and it's more important for me to journal in the morning. Journal whatever I think my psychology needs to be today. And in the case of today, been doing pretty well lately. And so I really journaled a lot about being willing to let go of my gains. As I noticed, that's one of the things that's been a pattern for me, is when I start caring about the amounts that are in my accounts, is generally when I start screwing myself up. So a few things here. Price already hit way above the 1/3 ADR, 1/3 average daily range this morning. So that is usually a sign of continuation. It's usually not a reversal sign. London didn't make any meaningful manipulation, but if we look at this chart here, neither did London yesterday. So here I just basically track London low a day, high a day kind of stuff. Excuse me. And yesterday, London made the low of the day with no manipulation, just straight up one stage delivery. New York continued that. So will today be similar? Because we already have the similar pattern of Asia and London forming lows. But what's different here is today, it looks like New York Open is testing the 50% of the London range. Here we're at all-time highs. I am not going to short anything, so there is no way I'm looking for shorts. So yeah, let's see here. Going back to the 15-minute chart, 1:30 ADR, midnight open. We got a lot of targets below us, but yesterday it just ignored all of these targets and ripped. Come on. New day opening gap, and then the regular trading hours gap right there, which that's going to probably be, that's a 200+ handle gap. So it's also a signal for potential continuation. Okay, here we are on open. Look at all this trend line liquidity above. So what I want to see 9:30 trade down. I want to see it trade down and form a nice inversion. How far? That'll be the question. So right now we're passing through the upper 1 hour gap. The 4 hour gap is filled in. Yeah, yesterday was wild what happened. I'm going to show you here in a minute. And by the way, I always forget this part. I'm a terrible streamer or YouTuber. Subscribe. and like, if you wouldn't mind. I'm a small channel, and even a single like helps the algorithm for me. You know, it actually matters. So that would be appreciated. And I got some more stuff to share with you here in a little bit. So we're forming likely some kind of gap. So we have London low. We have some equal lows. What I don't like is there's just stuff right here. Okay, which there's no gap anyways. So that's fine. I actually like it when it does that, because then I don't have to make the decision. I would like to see it come down into these areas a little bit. What's the, we got the level of 245. Let's go check out 245, because that's where the, wow, we'd have to come all the way down into this new day opening gap in order to put any form of a lower tail on, or a tail on this daily candle. Wow. So the other thing we need to keep in mind here is this is NFP week, and this is NFP week after FOMC week, and price is not behaving normally at all. I don't know if you've noticed that. I don't know if you've taken a bunch of losses. Let me know in the comments if this week is beating you up or if you've done well. I am on day 7 of, this is day 8 actually. There's been 7 days for me of no trades. 5, 6, yep, 7 days, no trades. I've not ever experienced that. And even when I study the review the day, I look back and I ask myself in my journal, like, was there an A+ setup that I missed? Because historically, that's something I've done. I'm more of a conservative trader, and I've been known to miss good setups. And in the last 7 days, I have not missed a single good setup. So here's this little inversion breaker kind of thing. Maybe on the 32nd there was, yeah, look at that on the 32nd. That was actually really nice on the 32nd. I mean, this is high A grade. There's so much below it, but it might not want it. We swept a 1 hour low. We tapped into this 1 hour fair value gap. I would like to see more strength in this candle here. What time is it? 9:33. Tough call. I love all this trend line right there, but I also don't like how it's right at the top of this trend line, forming another touch point of the trend line. I like how it's pushing higher. That gives me a little bit more confidence. I think it's worth a shot. Trade evade's being really slow, and I don't like that. So I accept the risk on this trade. It's actually, I'm going in small, lower risk today. So here we go. First trade in 8 days, I guess. Let's see here. I'd like to see a little more momentum out of these candles because 930 should be a little snappy to me, a little snappier. And we got, and I don't like what's going on with things being slightly slow. It makes no sense. My computer's a brand new Mac Studio, so this thing is got balls. All right, so here we go. So basically I took this breaker and inversion. Really the 30-second inversion down here would have been it. I just wasn't on the 30-second chart. We have everything going on, SMT, multiple SMTs, 15-minute looks strong so far. We have targets to the top side. What I don't like, I want to see this thing distribute a little quicker. 930 should be a distribution. Markets are in sync. We can see YM and ES are both pushing for buy side up in here. And actually NQ is the weakest asset of the three at the moment. All right, so that's roughly the idea here. Little retracement coming down a little heavier than I would like to see, and especially with this candle here testing this gap. I technically have room to go here, allow it to kind of retest this right here. I should have, and that's part of the reason why I sized the way that I did. If I don't like what I'm seeing, I got plenty of room to just allow for a slightly deeper retracement here on this. Man, come on, NQ, let's go. So this to me really should be the low. I wanted to give it a little bit of room to take this low and retest this gap. I'll remove the position tool. If it comes below that, it's pretty much coming for me, which wouldn't make a ton of sense to me at the moment, but this is also NFP week, so it can do whatever it wants, like Cartman, right? Whatever, I'll do what I want. So all this trend line, see this trend line right there, all these equals, these perfect equals, these algorithmic levels. So now that I'm in the trade, one of the big things that really helped me out is I've switched from analysis to management. I'm not looking at these candlesticks. I'm not sitting here doubting if I got in the trade. I'm just following my rules when it comes to managing my trade. That was a big thing for me that really helped me flip my consistency and really make sure that I wasn't getting out of good trades too early and screwing myself up by tucking my stop loss too close or trailing my stop loss too early or doing any of those kind of things that, the variance, it's a behavioral variance, basically, when you're getting into the trade and you're messing with it. So I have a predefined trade management plan that makes it super stressful. Like right now, there's no thinking. I'm not like doubting if I should be in this trade or any of those kind of things. I've already turned off my brain in that regard, and I'm just allowing things to play out. And if you're interested in that kind of things, I have a free Discord and I help traders stop self-sabotage themselves and start executing consistently. It's a free Discord. I'm just starting to help some people in there. And it's so people can build reliable, repeatable results without just gambling and trading. It's something I'm really good at. The Discord's free, and there's a link below. Oh, one other thing is, in anyone who joins my Discord, starting next week, I'm going to offer free one-on-one audit sessions where we're going to dive into the 3 areas where basically when it comes to trading, there are 3 main areas that are going to cause a person to screw up. And we dive into those. We do an audit and figure out what the biggest roadblock is for you and provide you with some insights on going forward from that. So still just sitting here waiting. I don't like the slowness at this point. It's not it should be distributing harder than this if it was going to be distributing. It still can. It might be a slow open, but this is not ideal. It looks promising, with all of these equals, but just this slowness here. And maybe it's going to do a strength switch here in a minute. We shall see. We have a minute 44 left on this 15-minute candle. That 15-minute candle does look pretty promising. It's going to likely close as a C2, strong C2 close. But all the strength in this 15-minute candle came from this part, this little move right down in there. So we shall see. Nothing to do but wait. Okay, I like that. Pushing higher. I'm pretty happy about this. I don't care about the dollar amount. I care that it's been 7 days since I've taken a trade, and I care of the quality of the trade that I took when I decided to take the trade. So like when I look back on today, and I won't know until hindsight, but basically, am I going to be, if I take a loss here, am I going to be content? Like, yeah, I'd take that trade again any day. That was what was important to me. Process over profits, which is backwards. But I've learned that in business before too. Even normal business, that if you put the profits before the process, good luck, Cool. TP1 and break even. And everything for me is fixed. So with my trade management system, there's no thinking really. It's just some simple criteria. Basically, TP1 is at 1R and in some relevant area or nearby. So like here is a fair value gap above this high. Cool, that works. If TP1 was right here, it's right by this equal high. Amazing. And similar to this, for me, TP2 is 2.5. Equal highs. And then it's not like me, I don't get greedy and I don't go, oh, I think that price is going to go here up to here. today, right? Oh, well, actually, it's almost there. So maybe it's going to go to these equal highs or these relative equal highs right here. Like, oh, it took those. Now it's going to go to like negative 72 standard deviations, right? None of that crap. My data shows where I am most profitable because sometimes price likes to just reverse and it might want to do a retracement, right? And do nothing. Maybe it comes up to the 50% of this range, which was my TP1, and consolidates. Or maybe it comes up to the 50% of this range and it wants the midnight open and the London low, like I was talking about earlier, you know? And it might very well do that. But let's see what happens. We do have a tiny fair value gap right here. Not really anything significant. We're just kind of forming a little breaker after breaker after breaker. And especially with these retracements, like it might tap me out. And the 15-minute has a gap below, so it might want to fill in this 15-minute gap right here and come down to 437. Right there, 437 would be filling in the gap. So we'll see if it wants to fill in that gap and take me out. But my data shows that if I TP and it comes back to break even, more likely than not, I'm wrong. And this here, system, and which is funny, like I always used to think that targeting higher R was better. And previously I was targeting 3R and I thought, oh, well, people are targeting 5, 6, 7, 10R. My 3R is not really that much. I was so wrong about that. So the most important number in your trading system is your expected value. Screw win rate, screw day win rate, screw profit factor. Those are not actually accurate. You know, you can have a profit factor of a 10, but it's a sample set of 2 trades and means nothing. It was just purely gambling. Now, an expected value, what that tells you is, oh, nice. Looks like it's actually going to at least keep going for a little while. When you're taking a trade, how much money are you going to make? And one of the things that I noticed in so after I changed my take profit system from 3R to a partial at 1R and then 2.5R, I was blown away. I did a year-long back test, and the first part of the year was with 3R targeting. Second part of the year was 2.5R targeting. My expected value doubled, which is mind-blowing. I was going to say something, but I'm watching the candlesticks. My expected value doubled. So that's twice the profitability and so much less stress, because I found with a 3R system, what can happen is statistically, and it depends on your win rate. So I had like a 3R system with like a 5% win rate or so, 46%, 47, floated around there somewhere. With those statistics, the possibility of a 12-loss losing streak was every year, basically. Like, so in other words, once a year, expect 12 losses, which psychologically can really mess with you, 12 losses in a row. Additionally, my accounts, when I figured out later, none of my, and you got to also size for, plan your statistics. And I'm struggling to say this because it's like, well, how can you plan your statistics? Aren't your statistics what your statistics are? No, because like I just made the conscious choice to reduce my take profits and therefore increase my win rate and therefore increase my expected value and therefore decrease my likelihood of a 12, well, not even likelihood. My system now does not have a 12 loss streak in it. It's statistically likely to have a 5 loss streak. And when you size your positions, whatever you're risking, like this is I'm trading 50Ks right now on this. A 50K account couldn't take 12 $250 losses. It would blow the account, right? But it can take 5 $250 losses. So my system is now designed for the drawdown of my accounts. So it just changed everything. And that part of that was like letting go. Ooh, so there we go. NFP week. So took partial. And what I was saying before that happened was that now I don't remember. The candle shorted me out. I mean, I remember what I was saying, which was about the statistics on my trading system. So yeah, it went down and it filled in that 15-minute fair value gap that I was talking about. So now my system matches my drawdown on my accounts. Oh, what I was going to say is, and now no longer can greed step in. But it's also not fear can step in, right? Like, so what happens sometimes is maybe you took this breaker, sure, whatever. And sometimes you're fearful and you're like, I don't know, today I'm only going to target 1R because I've taken a bunch of losses, right? And then those days, the price runs up and does 3R. Or maybe it's a day you're feeling greedy like we talked about and you're targeting way up here, but price only comes down and gives you 1R. When you make that mechanical into a trade management system, no longer do the emotions are not allowed to dictate what you're doing in your trading. And that is such a big deal. You got to run off statistics and data and build a system that kind of fits the best bell curve for your model. And that's why, well, I could ramble on for hours about that, but so yeah, I guess that's pretty cool. A partial W for my first trade in 8 days. I'll take it. It's probably going to run to my targets without me, but this market's been wild. What I was going to tell you this morning was yesterday what happened. I'm going to go back to yesterday. I'm going to turn off some of this stuff we don't need to see. Turn that, turn that. Good enough, I think. And these markets are just unruly. So Monday, what is today? Today's Wednesday, so we need to go to Tuesday. Yeah, so Tuesday was a one-stage delivery yesterday. Here's the market open. Here's yesterday's 4 hour, 6 a.m. Guess I'll delete that, don't need it. But we opened and just rallied up. And then we came back down and retraced into a 15-minute fair value gap. Had SMT, why won't we draw? You know, here's the gap or wherever it was. There was SMT at these lows, kind of formed these semi-relative equal highs, you know, and then I'm like, I logged out somewhere like right in here. I said, I'm done. I logged out. I was like, this is just garbage. And it formed an inversion continuation model right here on the 1 minute chart. And I was still in front of my charts. I shut down the stream here. I didn't log out yet. And so I walked away for like 2 seconds, came back to finish logging out. I saw the setup. I sized it up. And I'm like, dang, like that's a pretty okay continuation setup. And I told myself, you know what? I just don't trust this price action. I want a full-on reversal setup. I don't want a continuation setup. I want more confidence in the setup. And so I didn't take this. This was the first trade I was actually serious about taking in 7 days. And look at that. It would have stomped on me instantly and then ran to my targets. And that would have been a bit of a bummer. Because in that one, I would have been like, in real time, I for sure was doubting if I should take it. Like, oh, it's only a 15-minute gap. I'm not so confident in the price action. The other thing being yesterday, external range liquidity on the 1 hour had been taken. Let's go over there real quick. So here was the external range yesterday, right here. This liquidity had been taken pre-market, and so we were up in here. And so that meant I really didn't have any targets to be confident in. So there was to me made that 15-minute continuation play not A+. And look at that. So here's this 15-minute candle, came back down, filled in that gap right there that I was mentioning, took me out at break even. And you might say, well, then why'd you go break even if you wouldn't have moved your stop? My system tells me that this is very much unlikely. Not very much, reasonably unlikely. Like maybe 1 out of every 5 times, it'll come back down, tap this break even stop, and run to my TP. So that's like 1 out of every 5, 6, 7 times. It's pretty low probability. And especially I like it like in these conditions. You just don't know how far it's going to retrace, how deep it's going to go. A lot of last week, what it did is maybe it would form this inversion. You know, it'd come down here, price would trade down, come up, form this breaker, this inversion, and it would come back down all the way back down there and then go. That's what it was doing last week. And that was just that, like, so for me, my stops are, I don't use swings for stops. It's not necessary. If you're on side, the price is not going to come back down here. And what was I saying was, so anyways, the NFP FOMC weeks, and maybe that's even some protocol for, you know, if you're looking at that as like, if you don't go break even on your stop, maybe do it FOMC NFP weeks, just because the retracements can be deeper. So yeah, partial W, not a big deal. Curious to see what it does. What makes me sad is like the stuff that I ramble about here, it's not going to get any attention on YouTube. You know, it's not the sexy, attractive stuff. And, you know, I have a background in marketing and conversion copywriting, and I can write clickbait if I want to. And I certainly try to, like, you know, write my titles to be click-worthy and engaging without being clickbaity. But the stuff that, like, I feel like I have on my heart to share in this trading space is the stuff that really changed my game and has been helping me. But it's not anything that most people are interested in hearing or clicking on. And that makes me sad, not because, like, for my channel or my growing or any of that kind of stuff. It just shows me that people are not really interested in the work. And that makes sense. Like, why is it that so many people fail at business? A high percentage, they say like 80 or 90% of businesses fail, and 90+% of traders fail, and 50+% of marriages fail, and in divorce. Why is that? And it's because people are not willing to do the hard work. And that's sad. I feel sad for the people, because then they never, like, imagine all the things that happen. You know, a married couple are not willing to put in the work in their relationship. It's hard. I'm not going to lie. It's not easy. I've done it. But then the marriages and divorce, and the kids have to grow up in separate households, and who knows what. And the byproducts of that, the hardships of that for the kids. Or the people don't have the work ethic to push through and build a business successfully. And they never achieve their goals and their dreams. And then their heart is sad because they feel like a loser who couldn't make it, you know? And so I just feel bad that there's an epidemic of work ethic and perspective in this culture, in this world today. And the perspective's all wrong too, you know? And people haven't figured out that, you know, like, I have to be 100% honest, and like, I totally am into trading because you can make a fuck ton of money, right? I'm into content creation. I made a crap ton of money before. doing content creation. But I don't sit here with a vision board and Lambos on my desk, you know. My whiteboards, I have 16 feet of whiteboards over there on my wall to plot, plan, document, data, business stuff. And it says over there, you do it for them. And the byproduct then could be financial success. But when you're doing it for a Lambo, like, you're not going to work very hard, because you know, like, we're really not going to work that hard. But when you frame it that you do it for your family, like, if you're a parent, you know how hard you'll work for, you know what you would give your life for your child. And when you frame it from the perspective of every day you are fighting for them, well, does that change your trading? Does that change how hard you're willing to try, what you're willing to do? You know, like, I see traders making the same mistake over and over again, but not able to correct it. Why is that? Because they haven't been strong enough to overcome whatever the problem is. Strong enough, or the other word, I'm looking for another word, is something like tried hard enough. You know, trading is about overcoming emotions. And that's the game. It's reading the charts. It's being mechanical and overcoming the emotions of fear and greed. And it's pretty easy to do if you install rules, criteria, guardrails in your system and adhere to them. But that's not sexy. Like, no one wants to hear that. Or very few do. I shouldn't speak in hyperbole, should I? Very few do. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that helps someone open their eyes to see that the only thing preventing them from their own success is themselves, their perspective, and their effort into it. And I don't mean to offend anyone in the way I like effort with the word effort, because I too have efforted some things extensively that haven't worked, only to realize that the effort was in the wrong places, or the wrong things, or the wrong problems. And my guess is, in trading, for a lot of people, from what I've seen, the problems come from not knowing how to read the charts, and it's not like they don't know their model. It's everything thereafter. And those are the three pillars that I was talking about earlier that I teach people in my my new Discord to stop self-sabotaging. Basically, the three pillars are, well, I don't want to continue on too much further with that. I think the idea is there. I hope that the main concept is clear, and that there's a lot you can do about that. And it takes a certain kind of someone. You know, you look at these people that seem to have everything. Why is that? Why do they succeed at so many things and so many endeavors? Well, they figured out the mental game part of it. And that mental game translates into our trading. So it's both. And it's everything I was just talking about. So ultimately, this trade, you know, it's just slowing down. That's to be expected for NFP week. Targets are not always acquired. Obviously, plus whatever R on that, you know. So that's cool. I'll take it. Not a big win, but they all stack up. And that's what I found with this new system, is all the little wins stack up and really make a big difference. So cool. I'm stoked with that. Stoked with the one trade I take this week. I can call it green, even though it wasn't a full trade. So yeah, let me know down in the comments. How are you doing if you're still here? How's your week been? Have you found anything I've said to be true in the markets? I'm curious. So yeah, tomorrow is what? Thursday, which is, let's check the probability. I'm going to look at this real quick. Backtesting data eval, where are we? So today was Wednesday, and today was our high probability day for NFP week. Wednesday, 83% chance of a setup, and I can put it here too for today. And for tomorrow, Thursday, there's an 80% chance based off the last 6 NFP weeks of a plus setup. So yeah, I'll be streaming Thursday, and Friday I'm going to take off and I'm going to go. We're going to go camping in Moab. So yeah, I'll